I'm Julianne Imperato, a Cornell endocrinologist. In the beginning of the 1970s, I travelled to the Dominican Republic, an island in the Caribbean Sea, where some females appeared to change their sex after puberty. How did this happen? Well, after deeper investigation of the village, I surprisingly found that boys in the village had severe genital abnormality. Their external genitalia were poorly developed and they appeared to be female. After puberty, these symptoms disappeared. They suddenly acquired normal male genitalia. I named them as huevadoses, which means phallus at 12 years old. Moreover, the village is isolated by mountains, which forms a natural barrier. It wasn't until the early 1970s that the first road was built. There are only 2,000 people in the village, and most of them share a common family name.
Nowadays, thanks to modern technology, I could tell you more about the mechanism behind this disease. Let's first examine it from a molecular level. Here is the human genome, which comprises of 22 pairs of autosomes and a pair of sex chromosomes. As we know, each pair is half from the mother and half from the father. Now, let's focus on chromosome 2. There is a gene called SRD5A2. Under normal circumstances, it transcribes mRNA. This mRNA was sent to the cytoplasm, where an enzyme 5-alpha reductase is translated by ribosomes. This enzyme can transfer testosterone to dihydroxytestosterone, or DHT for short. However, in huevadoses, there is a single nucleotide change on this gene. The 736th nucleotide cytidine on the gene was substituted with thymidine, so the mRNA sequence is also changed. As a result, one amino acid in the 5-alpha reductase was altered from arginine to tryptophan. This substitution of an amino acid changes the normal structure of 5-alpha reductase, so the activity of this enzyme is impaired. DHT cannot be made from testosterone. Without DHT, the male genitalia appear female until puberty, when a large surge of testosterone allows the genitalia to grow properly. However, now the question arises of why is the disease so prevalent in the Dominican Republic? Two hypotheses were proposed that can explain the high prevalence rate. The first one is the bottleneck effect. Let's imagine that originally there were a few people living happily in a village. They married and produced offspring. The population gets bigger and bigger. Because of the random mutation, 2 people become the carriers of that disease. After that, there may be a sudden disaster, such as a volcanic eruption, disease or so on, which killed most of the population. But the carriers were lucky and survived. The survivors continue to live, hence, as they reproduce, more and more people get the disease. Another possibility is called the founder effect. When the population gets bigger, 2 couples decided to move to a new place. 2 of them happened to be carriers of that mutated gene. As they settled in a basin and reproduced, their descendants were more likely to be homozygous for that mutated gene.
Okay, so hormone replacement is usually used in treating huevadoses. After puberty, you'll be introduced to testosterone, which will increase the size in male genitalia and the appearance of secondary male characteristics such as facial hair. If the testosterone was introduced before puberty, then you'd have a shorter final adult growth, so you don't want that. And we will need to counsel you about the high risk of infertility. So here's some testosterone.
Oh, I become a real man. Thank you.
You're very welcome.